Hi, my name is Joe Hebert. I'm a retired physician. I'm the current president of the Joe's Pond Association and a year-round resident here on Joe's Pond. It was the middle of August last year. I actually think it was a Monday or Tuesday when one of the members found a floating piece of green object which was correctly identified as milfoil. They took a picture and sent it to the state, and the state did confirm that it was milfoil. Again, I think it was like August 14th or 15th, somewhere around there last year.
Hi, I'm Barry Cahoon. I'm a retired river engineer for the Agency of Natural Resources, and I'm currently serving as the Eurasian Watermilfoil Response Coordinator for the Joe's Pond Association. The day that I discovered, or we discovered, that we had Eurasian Watermilfoil in Joe's Pond, I had just come up in the afternoon on a beautiful day to my camp that I share with my wife Alicia, and she was in the water, or had been in the water at least, and she had a piece of aquatic plant material in a jar of water she wanted to show to me. And she'd for years been paying attention to and collecting floating fragments of plant material drifting by our dock. And this was a piece of something different that she'd never seen before, and she was suspicious about it. And she showed it to me, and sure enough, I kind of knew in a few seconds that it was milfoil. Well, that's how we basically discovered it.
Yep. So again, it was the middle of August when it was discovered by one of the members here. We immediately contacted the Agency of Natural Resources, who did confirm that it was milfoil. And coincidentally, that was the same week that we had scheduled our semi-annual, or every 2-year, survey, which we've been doing that for over 20 years, every other year having a survey to see whether we had milfoil or not. So it was a coincidence that the state came out to investigate at the same time that our contractor came to investigate. Again, this was in August of 2024. The previous survey had been in the summer of 2022. So we actually had 2 surveyors going on at the same time, and they both confirmed where the presence of the milfoil was, basically in one corner of the pond. The rest of the pond at that point in time seemed to be relatively free.
I have to say, I'd been suspecting for years that we would eventually get milfoil in Joe's Pond, so I can't say that I was surprised, but I was certainly disheartened and disappointed that that day had finally arrived, and I also had this sense that there was going to be a long road ahead for us to deal with it.
A combination of being disappointed, upset, but in one sense not totally surprised. As I said previously, we had been having surveys every other year for at least 20 years. We've had a greeter program, as have many other lakes and ponds, and we were certainly hoping to never have to go down this road. But when you look at a map, and we've been doing this for several years, when we've been looking at a map of the state of Vermont where it shows the 100+ lakes and ponds that previously had milfoil, it's almost like an infectious disease. You know, you kind of were, although you hoped it wouldn't be the case, you kind of expected like sooner or later this may well happen, and indeed that's exactly what happened. Well, the first thing that we did is we had a lot of conversations and a lot of help from the Agency of Natural Resources, because this was all new to us and we didn't really know what to do, how to do it, what our different options were. So there was a big learning curve for all of us here at the pond. The Agency of Natural Resources was very helpful last year. They gave us a lot of guidance. They came to the pond on 4 different occasions and hand-pulled as much milfoil as they could find. And then we also, at that particular point in time, again, under their guidance, because we were primarily relying on them. We didn't know an awful lot, and it took us a while to learn all of our different options. But one of the other things they did last fall, there was about a 200 square foot area where they put down what's called a benthic barrier, which is like putting a mat on the bottom of the pond, and we did this where the most dense population were. But again, it took a lot, we knew this wasn't anything good, but we didn't know all of our options at that particular point in time, and it really has been a learning curve, and we're still learning. This is, 8-10 months later, and we're still learning how our different options and how we can approach this.
So when I first saw the milfoil, I figured the first thing I needed to do was confirm, and so I took a picture of it and described it and sent that to Kim Jensen, who was an aquatic invasive species specialist at the Agency of Natural Resources. And this was, I think, on a Sunday, and she actually emailed me right back and said, yep, you got milfoil. So I then took it to the president of the association, Joe Hebert, whose camp is just 2 doors down from ours, and we're good friends. So I went down and told him, Joe, we got some bad news, and I showed it to him, and he knew exactly what it was immediately. And so from there, in terms of, I didn't know a heck of a lot about aquatic invasive species per se, but I do have some management background, and so I began thinking about what's it going to take for Joe's Pond Association to successfully combat this invasive species threat.
So just to back up a second, again, we discovered the presence of milfoil in the middle of August, and it was about, and we notified the members right away. We sent out an email saying, listen, we've got a problem here. Fortunately, we had our fall meeting 2 or 3 weeks later so we took that opportunity to have someone from the Agency of Natural Resources come and talk to the membership at our fall meeting, gave us a presentation about the pitfalls and what our options are regarding how we deal with the milfoil. And we also had a sign-up sheet at that particular point in time about people who were interested in doing various things to help our approach. Some people were scuba divers and snorkelers. Other people were more interested in the administrative part of it, or how to go on the lake and search for the milfoil for the presence of it. So we took that list, we contacted several different people who were interested, and subsequently formed a committee to deal with the whole milfoil. And we first had our meeting in January of this year, 2025, and have had monthly meetings since then. So those are mostly members here at the part of our lake associations who have assumed different roles. We're trying to divide up the work equitably. And I'm also very pleased because we have a couple people who are not Joe's Pond members, but have particular skills that are beneficial to our battle against milfoil, and our community members, and they've been a great help. So it's not just everybody at Joe's Pond. We've tried to educate everybody. We've tried to educate the community. We've talked to the select board at Danville and Cabot. So everybody's doing a little bit of work, but the start was at the meeting in the fall. People volunteered. We put the committee together, and then we started having monthly meetings in January of 2025.
I think one of the most important things that the Joe's Pond Association did in reaction to the discovery of the infestation was to have formed a committee of a bunch of very dedicated and talented members, and even a couple of folks from outside, or three folks from outside the membership who just simply care for and love Joe's Pond. And the formation of that committee has been instrumental in guiding the approach that the Joe's Pond Association has taken. Secondly to that is the support of the Agency of Natural Resources in responding to a proposal that we made to them to invoke essentially a novel interpretation of state regulatory statute to the situation at Joe's Pond to allow for an herbicide treatment at an early stage of infestation. And that is going to be and appears to be an instrumental requirement for us to successfully deal with the infestation, given the fact that it's basically spreading beyond control of our ability to manage it non-chemically. In addition to forming the committee, the support of the membership has been absolutely critical. In every public meeting that we've been to, the membership has, when we explain our approach to the membership, they've been 100% supportive. The same goes for the public meetings that we've held outside the Joe's Pond Association with the towns of Cabot and the town of Danville, the conservation commissions, the select boards, all have been supportive with the approach that we're proposing to deal with the milfoil.
So we planned during the winter months and contracted with a company that does underwater surveys, which was done in mid to late May of this year, where they document exactly how much milfoil we have. And then we made our decision where to go from there. So that was done in mid-May. We had also contracted with an organization who does harvesting. It's called DASH. It's been a bit disappointing in the fact that we did harvest a lot of milfoil in June, but what people need to understand is early in June, the milfoil is not really growing a lot. And so little plants that you might not see have subsequently grown. So unfortunately, the areas that we originally found last year, there's still quite a bit of milfoil in, and there's another area on the pond that has some milfoil. So, because this is a season where it's growing. The other thing that we're most excited about, we're going to find out probably in a week or so, is we have applied to the state of Vermont to utilize the herbicide called Procelicor. If we get permission from the state of Vermont, which we're optimistic at this point in time, we will be applying that in the middle of August. That's a very effective treatment for milfoil. There are limitations, rules and regulations that the state imposes on us, which have been, we've dealt with all of them. And again, so in month to 6 weeks, we hope to be using Procelicor. And then after that, sometime, that would be the middle of August, sometime probably in September, we will have another underwater survey to determine exactly how effective that will be. But the one thing that we've learned going forward is this is not going to be a one-year situation. This is going to be something we're going to have to do for several years, because the fact of the matter is there's only over 100 plus ponds or lakes who have milfoil in the state of Vermont. There's only one that's been successful in totally eradicating it. But we have some degree of optimism because we did find this early, and hopefully we can get it before it expands.
And other lake associations have provided a tremendous amount of information and recommendations for Joe's Pond's approach through a committee that's sponsored by the Federation of Vermont Lakes and Ponds, in which I've been participating. And every lake association has been tremendously supportive of everything that Joe's Pond Association has done to this point.
Well, we knew from the state recommendations that the options that we had initially for 2025 were to harvest the milfoil either by ourselves with our volunteers of scuba and snorkelers, or to hire a company who did what we referred to before as DASH. and we looked into we received some guidance from the Agency of Natural Resources, and for various people who do the dash, we had to do that before the 1st of July. And so Barry Cahoon, who was our milfoil coordinator, contacted an organization, Vermont Hosers, which is somewhere down near the Rutland area, and he was very persuasive in getting them to come here again in the middle of June to do the dash, which lasted for 4 to 5 days.